that makes me think, John, you really strike me as a good teacher. And I want to ask you, how do we all become better teachers?
Thank you. I think that's a passion of mine.
You can tell.
I do. I didn't realize that. Maybe at certain points in my career, it was like, okay, well, this is really important now. But as I look back, I think part of being a good teacher, in fact, I want to just say real quick, Halle Berry was on Property Brothers, whatever they call that, where
HGTV. Yeah.
And she redid her 5th grade teacher's house, and Dawn and I saw it last night. It was awesome. But there's an example of a teacher impacting a person, and now you're going 40 years out, and you're coming 30 plus and coming back and taking care of her. And that teacher still has it, by the way. As I watched her, she still has it. I think there's a couple things. I think number one, you got to be a learner to be a teacher. And I think to be an effective teacher, it's this continual process. What did Mark Twain said? Training is everything. Have you guys ever seen that poem from Mark Twain?
I have, yes.
Yeah. And we had it in the old boot camp books, Russ. Training is everything. And what I would always say is this: you might not be able to remember everything in this poem, but it'll move you. But just remember that first word in the title. It doesn't say trained. It says training. It's plural. It's perpetual. And so in order to train, you have to learn. So there's this learning piece. Number two, I think you got to be willing to walk into opposing views. Like, I'm getting better at this, but I still have a long way to go. So whether it's, let's say, somebody has a different view on solving one of the world's problems, or a different religious view, or a different view on EV, like, I'm learning, Charity, how to walk into that and say, hey, Charity, so tell me more about this, because I'm not sure I see it this way, but I want to understand.
It's powerful.
Like, how does that feel, by the way? Is that refreshing? Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, you can only do this if this is for real, sincere, right? Like, you truly want to understand. I can't tell you how many times, Charity, I've been able to learn something that I just did not experience or have by just asking that. And there have been a few times where those people come back to me and say, how about you? Do you see it this way? You said you see it maybe a different way. And then they'll ask me, why? What did you get? But that's not the instinct of most people.
Nope.
They're carrying a bag. They want to sell what they got. They're walking around with a high chin, like they're working a runway. I'm right and you're not. Look, you don't want to be that. You don't want to be in that posture, right? We're only here for a little while. I guess I entertain the fact that I could be wrong at every given point. And I'm really trying my best to make a difference in front of whoever's in front of me, or with whoever's in front of me. And learning is part of that. So do I get disappointed sometimes if, I see somebody heading down? Yeah, but I also respect the fact that it's their life, with my own kids. My favorite phrase, you can ask them, is it's these two things on the seesaw. It's consequence or reward. And so, they'll be talking about, over the years, they'll be talking about whatever topic. And I'll say, wow. And it's my way of abdicating decision to them. And I'll be like, wow, that's a big decision. What do you mean? I said, whichever way you go, just remember the consequence or reward is 100% yours. Well, what do you think, Dad? Well, I don't know. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this?
Now you got their attention.
That's all I was trying to do.
I know. Yeah.
Because it's not always going to be me in front of them. All I'm trying to do is teach them, when you're making decisions. So, Charity, there's another example of teaching, right? It's like, I'm not actually giving you the answers, but what I'm trying to teach you to do is how to think with wisdom, right? And so there are some people I know that are extremely courageous. They're bold. They'll stand on that wall. They'll take the bullet for you. And I have a dear friend, Steve Farrar, who
I know Steve, yeah.
Yep. So Steve was a dear friend to me. And Steve, as you know, passed in February of last year. And Steve had a lot of courage.
He
Steve
did.
had a lot of courage.
He was bold.
When yes, definitely bold. And my oldest son, Mitchell, is like that. He's cut the same way. But what I find is that guys and gals that have a lot of courage are going to be even better when they got people that really lean hard on wisdom. And you put the two together, and now all of a sudden you get folks that can navigate and know when to stand tall. I mean, it's a better combination. And again, that's not a shot on Steve or my son. It's great that they're really strong but it was always like my way with Mitchell is like, look, what you're saying is bold. And remember, walk in wisdom, right? Consequence, reward, all that stuff. Think this out. And what's the best route? What's the best time? Like sometimes people are full steam ahead and it's like, look, it's full steam ahead, but it's just not right now. Okay. Yeah, it's late. Right. So anyways, it just, I guess, speaks to the fact that there's so much to learn and there's decisions you got to make and you got to prioritize. But I do love the learning piece, Charity. I do. I think lives change. I think the easiest way to grow a company is to grow the people in it.